In studio this morning to talk about everything sports. It's the Sideline Report on your hometown radio station, WPKY, The Tiger. All right, good Thursday morning to you. Ty Englebright and Todd Griffin in studio with the Sideline Report at 4 minutes past the hour. Good morning.
Good morning. I think college basketball is the main topic of the day.
It's got to be. It's March, and that means it's madness time.
It's March Madness.
And boy, a lot of cool things going on. March Madness, a few local connections, and, Murray State's back in the big dance after several year absence, and we've got some exciting news out of the Music City and a local flair.
Well, absolutely. Eli Pepper is going to be in the NCAA tournament, and when you talk about Caldwell Countyans in the NCAA tournament, that's a pretty short list.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think back to the days of Michael Fralix and then adopted Caldwell County and Ty Rogers.
Yes.
And then maybe back before that.
I think you'd go back to the Smiths.
That's what I was thinking.
I think that's the club.
Yeah, and so big to-dos. But boy, what, the Lipscomb Bisons had a really, really good, solid season. And you had a feeling that, if they, started clicking at the right time, and later in the season, that latter part of the season they did. Once you get the tournament, anything can happen.
Oh, absolutely, and first trip to the NCAA tournament for them, and big things going on. Just a crazy game down in Florida the other day when they played Florida Gulf Coast. Just a 32-point lead with 16 minutes to go, and the next thing you look up and
they've cut it.
The home team's within five, and there's still like 6 or 7 minutes to go, and I'm sure there were a lot of anxious moments for Lipscomb fans at that point, but man, Florida Gulf Coast just, I think, used up so much energy to try to
make that comeback,
try to get back in it, that maybe they hit a wall a little bit, and Lipscomb did what it needed to down the stretch to pull that game out too.
Yeah, and Lipscomb, I think it was the battle of the number 1 and number 2 seeded team, so they were right there. You knew it could probably go either way, and the team that executed, and especially down the stretch. But yeah, it got a little hairy there when you build a big lead like that. But I think you see that a lot in college basketball. You build a big lead like that, and at times you get, whether it's complacency or whatever, I don't know. But
and both teams shot the lights out in that game. I'm not sure what Lipscomb shot in the first half, but it was incredible. And then it seemed like Florida Gulf Coast shot even better in the second half. So 65 points in the second half for Florida Gulf Coast. So just a crazy game. 108-96 was the final score as Lipscomb won. The Bisons will take a 23-9 record into the NCAA tournament. So, a great season for them, and a great season for Eli. I think he finished the regular season third in the conference in rebounding. So, pretty strong season all the way around.
Very strong season, and of course you had those nights where Matthews and some of those other guys would get off, and you'd have three players, sometimes 4 players, and I think even in the A-Sun Championship there, at least 4, I think, players were in double figures for the Bisons. Of course, they scored over 100, so you got to have those guys, shooting the ball like that.
Oh yeah,
and but really, what a game it was. That one, it was a 106-98, I think was the final. Is that right?
108-96.
108-96.
Yeah.
I knew I got numbers transposed, but it's amazing that those games. You see games, especially in those championship games, that they don't always are offensive games like that.
Oh yeah.
People seem to you're in the 80s.
And Lipscomb got off to such a great start. I mean, they were hitting everything early, and the halftime score was 60-31.
Exactly.
And at that point, if you're a Lipscomb fan, you're making plans for your big trip to the NCAA tournament. And then you look up, and again, the home teams got it down to 5, and the Atlantic Sun plays their conference tournament at home sites.
Right.
So Florida Gulf Coast, as the number 1 seed, got to host that game, and I thought that would be a pretty big deal, and I thought their crowd did a good job of keeping them in the game even when they were down 30.
Yeah.
A lot of places, everybody would hit the gates,
yeah.
But they were in there, and they really had a chance to pull that game out.
Well, it's basketball. It's tournament time, and as we know, anything can happen. And obviously, I think I heard a couple of commentaries talking about, or maybe read it, where I guess they were harking back to the LSU UK comeback. I think it was 31 points.
Yeah, in the second half.
Yeah. And it would be just about that, if they would have successfully done it.
I can never remember which year exactly that was.
Yeah.
I can always remember the date, though, because it was February 15th.
It was.
Which is my birthday.
Oh, there you go.
So that was a happy birthday
that was
present.
A happy birthday. That was amazing. I mean, that was really something.
Well, Kentucky that night just started making three-pointers and, getting some turnovers, and it's amazing how quickly you can, chip that lead down with a three-point shot.
With the threes going down. It was funny. Before you got here today, I was just reviewing some stuff. I guess it might have been on social media, but there was old Pistol Pete back before the days of Pete Maravich, the days before the three, and he had 68 in that game. That's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, he was
missed some
insane.
easy shots.
And the great thing, if you're a Pistol Pete fan, there's a show coming up, I think, on the SEC Network Monday night that is all about Pistol Pete Maravich and what he did in the Southeastern Conference, and then went on to star in the NBA, and just a singular talent. And you don't see guys like that come along very often, and I'm definitely going to try to make sure I get that at least taped so that I can watch it. But just a lot of NCAA basketball tournament coming up. We're all waiting for Selection Sunday. That's going to be Sunday afternoon, 5 o'clock. It's on TBS this year, and that's when we'll finally find out where everybody's going. But right now, I think, we've got Lipscomb in, Murray State's in. Kentucky, I think, is a pretty safe bet to get in.
Yeah.
Western Kentucky's got some work to do. They're going to have to win the Conference USA tournament this week. The number 3 seed are the Hilltoppers for that, so there's a chance. And I think Louisville needs maybe one more win in the ACC tournament to get in. That was really a crushing loss to them last week when they lost that last second, to Virginia, which was number 1. I mean, I think if you get that win, that probably puts Louisville in. I checked bracketology, Joe Lenardi's predictions online.
I think I saw that after
they had Louisville, or he had Louisville as the last team in right now. But if somebody, below them were to win a conference tournament or get in, well, that might bump them out. And, it's going to be those last 4 in, last 4 out are going to come back and forth. So,
yep. Well, it's going to be great. We'll find out Sunday. And, Todd, had the pleasure. We were talking about the Lipscomb Bisons. We have the pleasure of welcoming to WPKY via phone from Nashville, Tennessee, Lipscomb Bison himself, the board man, the rebounder, Eli Pepper. Good morning, sir. Number 22. How are you?
Hey, good morning. How are y'all?
Well, we're fine. Todd Griffin here with me, Eli, and we certainly appreciate you joining us on the Sideline Report this morning. So I'll begin, and Todd's got the majority of the stuff, but just, man, how does it feel? It's got to feel great.
It's incredible. I've been kind of speechless for about 4 days, and, that doesn't happen to me very often.
No, sir.
It's a dream come true for sure.
Well, I was going to ask if everyone had kind of settled down from that yet, from winning the championship, and have you started looking toward who you might want to play in the NCAA tournament yet?
Yeah, everybody's starting to settle down a little bit, but it's been a fun celebration the last couple of days. We had an off day, 2 off days the day after the game, and then yesterday we got back into practice, and that kind of got us settled back in. But, every morning the team will wake up and we'll start texting each other about bracketology stuff on CBS and ESPN and seeing who we're going to play. And right now, all the stuff's saying Duke, which is going to be a whole lot of fun, and we've started scouting reports a little bit and film, and we're back into practices, so things are going good.
Well, has the team talked about it? Would you guys rather be, say, a 15 seed and go up against Duke, or would maybe you'd rather be a 16 seed and get in that play-in game where you get an extra game maybe and get somebody, maybe a little easier in that first round?
Right, yeah, we've all talked about it, and everybody's kind of split even on it. There's people that would like to get that first tournament win of all time here as well. Personally, I think I would rather have fresh bodies when you're going to play that low of a seed, when you're going to play a 1 or 2 seed. So I think I'd rather have the 15 or 16 seed, but I definitely see the pluses to having that play-in game.
Oh, yeah. Well, going back to the A-Sun Championship, have you ever been involved with a game that was that crazy?
No, it was wild, wasn't it? I mean, it was a lot of fun, a lot of heartache, a lot of guts, but it was so much fun.
Well, you had a lot of us holding our breath there in the second half.
Yeah, for sure. We've talked about that a lot, and a lot of people say they got scared in the second half, which they did, but you can't beat a team that good without putting 2 halves together, and, it was tough.
Well, and you guys have to feel like if you can put together another first half or a game like you played in the first half of that game, that you can play with just about anybody.
Oh, for sure. We're going in this tournament to win. I mean, there's not a team out of the 64 that's going in there to lose and just to have fun. Like, it's a mission. Everybody's looking for a win.
Well, that had to be a whole lot of fun on Sunday, not just getting the win on the road, but I know you had a lot of family there. And, again, just an incredible game to watch. And, like I said, a lot of us were holding our breath when that lead got down to 5, but you guys were able to calm down and get the win.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of fun for sure. It's unexplainable, the feelings you get from it and the emotion that goes on throughout the game and after.
Well, when you guys went down there, I mean, the way you came out, it looked like you guys had a lot of confidence going into that game, even though you were playing on, the opponent's floor.
Oh, we did for sure. We lost the first game of the season, or first game between us to the season. We were up 18 and ended up losing. Second game, we came down there, won in their gym, so we knew going in that we could win in their gym, and it was going to be tough. And we didn't feel more prepared for any other game than that championship game this year.
Eli, Ty here, and what's it like? I mean, you guys are pretty much the Princeton adopted team. People have been following you here. Your family's here. It's got to feel great to know you pretty much have a whole town, rallying around you guys. Even if they were with, a lot of folks have been with you the whole season. Some kind of picked up halfway, but then, after that game, everybody's all in and rooting for you guys. How's that make you feel?
It's incredible. The team loves, like, seeing all those people from Princeton there at the game. They like getting to meet them, and, they like to make a lot of jokes about, are we going to have a parade for Eli Pepper in Princeton? It's just such a small town, and, they make a lot of jokes, but they love it. I love it. It means the world to me.
Well, and you've got a couple of Kentucky kids on the team with you, right?
Yes, sir. We have Matt Rose from Lexington, and we graduated from the same class. And then we have Zach Fleener from Murray High School. He's a freshman this year.
Well, best of luck going forward. I know you guys are going to put forth a great effort in the NCAA tournament, and you've played a tough schedule this year to get you ready for that, too.
Yeah, for sure. We feel just as prepared for these teams. I mean, we played Texas at Texas, which is a great team. They've got a lottery pick on their team. And we play Tennessee, and we lose by 10. We think we should have won that game. We play Purdue in one of the toughest environments that you can play in the country, a packed house, and down by 3 at halftime, but couldn't put the second half together to beat them. And he told us after that Purdue game, Casey told us that's the type of teams we're going to be playing in the tournament this year. So we definitely feel prepared.
No doubt about it, Eli. Again, best of luck to you. We certainly appreciate you calling in and talking with us today. Do you got anything else you wanted to add or tell anybody that's out there listening? We're on the World Wide Web. We're streaming this live, and, of course, you're in your hometown.
Oh, yeah. No, I just can't say thank you enough to the people that have helped me get to where I am, and it's a hard thing to say right now without getting emotional, but because I'm not going to be able to name all the names, but I mean, you got Coach K, you got Vic Gray, Andrew Felker, Dustin Cash, Steve Smiley. I mean, there's all types of people that I can't say thank you enough that helped me get here. And it's not just players. I mean, coaches. It's players also, and it's players from other sports. I mean, Bradley Stallings, David Barnes, Wayne McGowan, Aaron McClung, people like that. And I'll never be able to tell them thank you enough for helping me get to where I am today. And so if I could reiterate that to them through this, that's awesome. I mean, but I'll never be able to say thank you enough to people like that.
That's well said. And last night I was conversing via text with your dad, and I just told him, we go way back, graduated high school together. I just told him, just soak it up and just enjoy this moment with you, your entire family. Yeah. And he said, he's just going to be a big sponge and just soak it all in with you guys. So we're so proud of you and the entire team, and it's going to be a fun ride to watch your success. And, Todd, you got anything to add?
No, just good luck this week, and we'll be watching.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much for calling in, Eli, and good luck to you guys, and we'll be following you. And go Bisons, all right?
All right. Thank y'all. Take it easy.
Have a great day.
See ya.
All right.
Thank you. All right, Todd, Eli Pepper from Nashville, Tennessee, on the phone with us, and I think the Bisons, if I was a higher-seeded team, I don't know if I'd want to draw them or not.
No, not the way they shoot the basketball. I mean, that can be scary, but, there's going to be a lot of good teams out there, and the NCAA tournament, I think, this year is just up for grabs. We saw it just a few years ago. I mean, Florida Gulf Coast made that run.
Exactly.
Hey, here you go. I mean,
they can do it out of the A-Sun.
Absolutely.
And we've got another team right down the road here who has made 16 appearances. They have been absent for a few years, but the Murray State Racers peaking and gelling at the right time. An SEC team came up and played them in their gym, and they played them tough. And I'm talking about an Auburn team that is pretty darn good in the SEC.
Well, it looks like we're going to have a whole lot of rooting interest this year. Like I said earlier, you've got Lipscomb, you've got Murray State. I think Kentucky is in.
Oh, yeah.
I hope Louisville gets there. Maybe Western can get there. So a whole lot of reasons to be excited for Selection Sunday and then for next week for the NCAA tournament. One thing about Eli, though, Eli Pepper holds the distinction of being the only Tiger ever with a triple-double, and he has 2 of them.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah,
so,
I think I knew there was one of them. I didn't know there were 2 of them.
He had one against Trigg County his junior season, I think, and then he had one, I believe, in the last game he played against Hopkinsville in the regional tournament for Caldwell County. So
good deal.
So there's only been 2,
That's
and
good stuff.
He owns them both.
That's fantastic. Well, best of luck to Eli. Our thanks to him for calling in, and boy, look forward to seeing who they draw, where they go, and then getting it down and getting on the court.
Well, bracketology is always fun to look at,
yeah.
And
where's Gary when you need him?
Yeah, to be honest, there's a lot of times I wonder why the NCAA Selection Committee doesn't just pull up Joe Lenardi's bracketology, because I think he crunches the numbers more than they do.
Yeah.
To him, it's almost a full-time occupation. Those people get together in a room for, a couple of hours or a couple of days or whatever. I think I would cheat a little bit and just pull up bracketology and see where he had people. But
why not?
But you can never completely go with it. He ends up picking a lot of the teams that are in it, not always the way they're paired up. Again, it's fun to look at through the season. I think I would rather Lipscomb draw somebody besides Duke.
Yeah, probably.
If there is a favorite going into the tournament, it's probably Duke. Forget the rankings and all those things. If I had to pick just a favorite out of everybody, it'd be Duke. I think there are some other teams that are a little more gettable that might be at that number 2 spot. Would rather see them get somebody else. I mean, to me, the Duke thing, it would do me, greatness to see Lipscomb beat Duke.
Oh, yeah.
But I think trying to think ahead, to Lipscomb making a run, maybe drawing Duke is not the exact team you want to get.
No, and, it was so much fun. I'm a Murray State alum, and then those days back in the 80s when we were playing, and a lot of times March Madness would be around spring break, and we'd go to Florida for spring break and come back and be sitting somewhere. I remember we were sitting in Gainesville in a restaurant one time on the way back, and in Gainesville, Florida. Murray was on, and we were in a restaurant right there near U of F's campus, and all us guys, we had our blue and gold on, and we were watching the game, and we were outcast, but they kind of embraced us, and we're following Murray. But we had some great wins at Murray. The year Kansas won, I forget what year it was. We played them pretty tough.
Probably played them as close as anybody.
As anybody did, yeah. And I forget what year that was. It's been a long time.
It was in the 80s. Beat NC State in the first round. That was when Jim Valvano was still the head coach.
That's right, and they had a big win against Vanderbilt in the first round.
Just a few years ago.
Several years ago. So a lot of great basketball tradition down there at that school, and, Lipscomb starting one this year.
And Murray State is the only number 16 seed to ever take a number 1 seed to overtime.
Yeah, and that was the Kansas, wasn't it?
No, that was Michigan State.
Michigan State, okay.
And Murray State really had a chance or two to pull that game out, and that would have been the big 16 over a 1.
Was that the Mateen-Cleve year?
I can't remember exactly. It was in the 90s, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know when Mateen-Cleve and those guys. That was a great team that they had that year.
I want to say that was the Frankie Allen Murray State team.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it might have been.
Can't remember.
Yeah, I'm talking about Mateen was playing
with Murray State.
Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State. Yeah.
And but there's been it all runs together, but it's so much fun because you think back to some of those great games and those great matchups in the NCAA tournament. It's just a fun time of year. I mean, how can it be bad when you got basketball on the TV set or your radio right in the middle of the day? It's great.
Well, let's face it. Everyone talks about the Final Four, and that's where everyone wants to get to. But the best basketball of the NCAA tournament, the first 2 rounds.
First couple rounds, yeah.
That Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the first week of the tournament, that's the best basketball you're going to get.
Yeah, it really is, because you got the Cinderellas, you got your outcasts,
But some of the seeding anymore, I mean, if you look at it, a 6 seed playing an 11 seed in the first round, those teams are pretty even anymore.
Even.
I mean,
they are.
Even a 5 and a 12 and a 4 and a 13, those teams are not that far apart anymore.
I agree.
I mean, you look at it and somebody says, "Oh, it's a big upset." Maybe it's a little upset, but it's not a big upset. I mean, everybody's got good players.
You're exactly right. And do you seem? It seems to me like I think in the bracketology projection that I saw, I think was it Kentucky and Nashville. Is that
Kentucky
right?
was a 6 seed
in Nashville,
maybe, and they were going to play the winner of the 11 play-in game between Oklahoma and Arizona State.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma's kind of on the bubble right now, too, after, that great start to the season. They're going to be close. They're kind of like Louisville. I mean, they're going to be sweating it out unless they get a couple of conference tournaments.
And I think I saw North Carolina on that side, maybe Kansas, all right in there. So it's always a pretty tough run for Kentucky, it seems like, each and every, whether they're a number 1, number 2, or number 6. It just seems like they always end up on that side of the bracket. That's the toughest way to get there.
Seems like the NCAA never does them a favor when the bracketing comes out.
And I'm not complaining, because I'm not just like this tremendous Kentucky fan. It just seems like it's. I mean, in all reality, that's just how it is with those guys, with them. I don't know why.
Well, and I hope we don't see something like Kentucky and Lipscomb in the same bracket, or
right.
Murray State. And
I'd like to see Murray State and Kentucky play, because there's always this they want to do a regular season type thing, and they say it's never going to happen. But I think it'd be cool for them to meet in the tournament.
Well, I think Kentucky would be fine with playing Murray State at Rupp Arena.
Yes, definitely.
Murray State's pretty, they want that game. They want a game at Racer Arena. And I just don't think that's ever going to happen.
No.
Kentucky's never going to Racer or
CFSB, yeah, whatever it is.
It's still, to me, every time I think of Murray State, I think
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
They're not going to go to Western. They're not going to play at Diddle. I mean, that's just the way it is.
I was amazed Murray got Auburn up there. That kind of
and they've played Ole Miss in Murray before too. So there are some schools that will do that, but Kentucky's not going to.
They're not going to do it, are they?
If you're Kentucky and you can go to Chicago or Brooklyn or wherever and sell out a big arena and play, a Power 5 team, they're just not going to make that trip to Bowling Green or to Murray. They're just not.
Reminding you to text us with your thoughts, comments, whatever at 270-963-9038.
And I would be tickled to death to see that regular season game, even if they could do it in Louisville or something.
I like
play Western or Murray or.
I agree. I think it'd be fun, and really, if you think about it, these are quality basketball teams all around, and so you're going to get a good game wherever it's played.
Well, Murray State's 26-5. I mean, I think they're looking at maybe a 14 seed.
Yeah,
maybe. I think Lipscomb's probably in that 15 line. I could see them putting Lipscomb in that first 4 games. Yes. Some of me thinks, hey, there's advantages to that because you get to play a team that's similar in size to you, at least, athletically or competitively.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, I know you'd like the rest before playing a big game, and you really have a tight schedule when you go play a Tuesday or Wednesday game in Dayton, and then you've got to get to a Thursday or Friday game someplace else in the country.
Right.
But you also have a game under your belt. If you win, you've got a game under your belt. You've kind of calmed the nerves. You're familiar with the situation. And then you can go against that higher seed with maybe a little momentum and confidence.
And playing loose a little bit. You've got that first one under your belt, yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is, however it draws out, you can make advantages out of that.
Sure.
If you get the first 4, there's a reason to say, hey, this is good. And if you don't draw in the first 4, you can say, well, okay, we didn't really want that. So it's a win-win.
It's a win-win, no doubt. So you've sort of revealed it. Right now, if you had to pick somebody coming out and winning the thing, and without seeing a bracket or anything, you just pre-bracket, you're saying Duke.
The best team out there, I think, is Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of the rankings or anything else or records, I just think they're the best team. They probably have the best coach.
Yeah.
You look at teams that could make a run. Kentucky could make a run.
They could, yeah.
People keep asking me how the Cats are going to do, and I think my standard answer is, I have no idea.
You don't?
I wish I could, try to figure them out, but
you don't know on any given night what they're going to do.
Kind of gave up on them a little bit, like I think a lot of Big Blue Nation did. I tried to jump back on the bandwagon when they won 4 straight. Then they went down to Florida Saturday and basically laid an egg. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, that's
however, again, to find positives, that was the last true road game Kentucky is going to play this year. In the NCAA tournament and even in the SEC tournament, Big Blue Nation travels well, so it's very rare that Kentucky ever finds itself, the underdog in a neutral site game. Kentucky usually has the crowd behind it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to that, especially with this team. This team doesn't have the swagger of some of those other teams. We've seen some really good Kentucky teams that liked nothing better than to go on the road, take the jeers, take the heckles, go out and just shut up the home crowd. This team doesn't have that in them for whatever reason. It's just, I don't know if it's a character thing or just whatever. Maybe if they're not as talented as some of those other teams, maybe that's part of it. But for whatever reason, this team just doesn't seem to have that, I want to say nastiness about them to want to go in and just say, sure, yell at us, heckle us, and then watch us beat you.
We'll slam you on the court.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it. Yeah, and I think there's probably not much of an hard to identify. There's not much of an identity to this team. You never.
Yeah, that's the thing, and there's no go-to player. I mean, I think Calipari would like to play a style of basketball where they can either run with you or grind you out, and I think that's probably smart because we've mentioned before on this show, when you get to the NCAA tournament, even the postseason with the SEC tournament, those games are usually close. Everybody's playing for their life. You get the NCAA tournament, you lose, and that's it.
Yeah,
so
season's over.
So you're getting everybody's best shot. They always seem to come down to those last 4 or 5 or 6 minutes, and you have to play half-court offense and you have to play half-court defense. And if you can't do that, you're probably not going to win those games.
No, you're exactly right. It'll be interesting to see, and I'm excited about it. I always like it. I'm in and out of basketball throughout the season. Sometimes I watch a few games, sometimes I don't. I'm just not. But March is always fun. I'm always by the TV watching games this time of year.
If you're a Kentucky fan, you're looking forward to tomorrow afternoon about 2:25. That's when the Cats will play. It's either going to be Georgia or Missouri. I think if you're a Cat fan, you'd probably rather see Georgia in that game because Missouri is, playing in their home state, and the big freshman, Michael Porter Jr., they say he's going to play this week.
Oh, okay.
So that could make a difference.
It could.
Kentucky lost at Missouri during the regular season.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see Kentucky win a couple of games. Again, Calipari, I don't think, is a big fan of the conference tournaments or having to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday to get to the championship. He would probably be okay if they played once or twice and then went and practiced and got ready for the NCAA tournament. But it's a big thing for Big Blue Nation. I think there'll be a lot of them in St. Louis, which is hosting, the SEC tournament for the first time this season.
They play that in the hockey, where the Blues play.
Yeah, the Scott Trade
Center. Scott
Center.
Trade Center. Yeah, I thought so.
And it actually looks pretty good on TV.
I went to the. I've been up there too. I went to a regional final one year, but I think it was at the Edward Jones Dome.
It probably was.
I think it was '98 or somewhere. I don't know.
As a matter of fact, I thought maybe the SEC would play its tournament there just to get more people in, but I think the Southeastern Conference has decided that for their conference tournament, it's better to have it in an actual arena.
Yes.
For the atmosphere. And you make the ticket, a little bit harder to get, and it's a big draw. Where if you hold it in a big dome-type stadium.
There's empty seats and people wandering around. You can go down close.
You can get a lot more people in, but you don't have that atmosphere. And I think that's what they're trying to create, and they're trying to create a demand for tickets. And you're not going to do that if you have 70,000 tickets available, but if you have 16,000, well, now it's a little more, more people going for those tickets.
Yes, sir. It's going to be fun, and we'll blink, and even that'll be over. We'll be playing our championship game, right in the beginning of April, I guess. Is that Monday night after Easter, I think.
I think
right?
so.
Yeah.
But again, UK plays tomorrow afternoon on ESPN at about 2:25. Western Kentucky plays tonight in the Conference USA tournament. And I don't know if you've looked at that setup, but where they're playing is like the Dallas Cowboys practice facility.
Really?
And they have 2 courts side by side in what is essentially and I think some high school teams down there actually use that as their home football field. So there's 2 courts. Western's playing on Court B against Alabama Birmingham, and of course,
are they going to play these games simultaneously?
Yes,
they are. Oh,
yes.
Wow.
There's a Court A and a Court B.
Now that is something else.
So that's interesting. And Western's game tonight about 9 o'clock is going to be streaming on Facebook. I'm not sure how that works exactly, or if you have to go to the Western Kentucky sports site and follow a link. But I think it is available for free, but it's on Facebook. So
wow,
it'll be interesting to try to find that game. And again, they got that late game at 9 o'clock against Alabama Birmingham. If Western wins, the semis are Friday. Western would play about 3 o'clock, and that is on CBS Sports Network against Old Dominion or Louisiana Tech. The Conference USA final is Saturday night on CBS Sports Network. So, and we talked about Louisville earlier. They're playing number 1 Virginia today. So, if ever there was a chance for redemption after letting that one get away last week, here it is. They play at 11 o'clock this morning. I think that's on ESPN in the ACC quarterfinals. So, if you're looking for basketball, there's basketball on TV today, tonight, and the Cats tomorrow.
Why not? And you say if Louisville wins that game over Virginia, that probably will get them in.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at Virginia. They're the top seed for the ACC tournament. They're the top-ranked team in the country. I think you get that game, you're safely in. And Louisville probably should be in either way. But, man, it gets really dicey.
It does. I know.
You know, you start getting some teams in that maybe you didn't expect to get there that are below them. Well, you can get bumped pretty quick. And like I said, if you go by bracketology, right now Louisville is the last team in. So there's not much room for error.
No.
Probably best if you're a Cards fan to hope you get that win today.
Right. So that you think they could get the win, not winning their and then maybe bow out the next game and still get in.
Yeah, I think they need one more win.
Okay.
I mean, just to be sure.
Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah, a lot of Cards fans around here, and so.
Well, I want to see everybody in. Like I said,
I do too.
Lipscomb and Murray and Western and UK and Louisville. I mean,
yeah, why not? The more the merrier, and it just makes our state looks like basketball nation.
And like you said earlier, for the NCAA tournament, Lipscomb is a Kentucky team.
Yeah,
it might be in Nash Vegas.
Yeah,
but it's a Kentucky team. You know, when you have a rooting interest, that's where we're going. So.
Yeah, and you got 3 Kentucky boys on there. I know they'll be. You got the freshman from Murray, as Eli said, and the other guy. So
from Lexington,
yeah. So it's a, and it's Princeton. You know, you got a hometown guy in the NCAA tournament. I mean, people are going to be watching. People are going to be, it's an interest.
And one of the best things about that Lipscomb team, if you look at the roster, all those guys that play and contribute a lot, they're all juniors.
Yeah.
So there's a chance for them to be even better next season.
Year, and future's bright for them. And I think even last year saw a little spark of that. Even though I think Florida Gulf Coast emerged last year. That was a good team that they had. But
and a few years ago they were Dunk City. Do you remember that?
I think I do remember that, Dunk City.
Yeah. So I think they made it to the Sweet 16 at least.
Yeah. I mean they have a good basketball tradition out there. So. What an accomplishment! So, gonna be fun. It's March, so we're talking basketball here. Let's take a break. We're gonna regroup. We've got some other things coming up. Todd and I are gonna talk about our top, I guess our favorite, not sitcoms. These are like hour-long.
Yeah, these
programs.
are more dramas / adventure television shows.
I don't know if I have any adventure on mine or not. But okay, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna regroup. We got more sports to talk about too.
Yes.
I promise you. But we're going to come back. We appreciate you guys tuning in to the Sideline Report. We are streaming on WPKYonline.com. And we want your comments or questions, anything that you want to communicate to us. Text us that. I've got my little text app up here. I can see when they come in, 270-963-9038. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back on the Sideline Report here on your hometown radio station, WPKY The Tiger.
La Potosina in Princeton and Marion is the best place to experience delicious, authentic Mexican cuisine with an extensive menu that has something for everyone. Choose from local favorites like fajitas, chimichangas, burritos, and Maria's favorite with rice, grilled onions, and peppers, chicken, shrimp, steak, or a combination topped with La Potosina's mouth-watering cheese sauce. That's La Potosina with 2 locations to serve you in Princeton and Marion. La Potosina Mexican Restaurant.
And we are back on the Sideline Report. Todd Griffin in studio, along with me, Ty Englebright. And Todd, where do you want to go now?
Well, I think it's TV time. And is it your turn to go first?
I think it is. And I threw a tie on there. I was trying not to do a tie.
I've got one of those.
But I do have a tie. My number 5, I'm going with the $6 Million Man and Star Trek.
That's pretty good. Going retro right away.
Going retro right away. You know, I mean, you look at the $6 Million Man now. It's pretty cheesy, but I love the Bigfoot episode when Andre the Giant was in the Bigfoot outfit.
Well, if you did the $6 Million Man today, he would only have a bionic pinky.
I think you're probably right because of inflation and
everything.
Yeah,
I mean, that's all they could fix is maybe the nail on the pinky or something.
But I love the show, and I like the Bionic Woman, too. I mean, you can't leave her out. It's a Lindsay Wagner kind of thing, but I just threw the $6 Million Man on there, and Star Trek, my tie. I mean, who doesn't love Star Trek? And I've got a feeling it'll probably be somewhere down the line here, but I had to at least throw it in mine. I'm not a huge Trekkie.
Spoiler alert.
But it was really great. Yeah, I don't mean to spoil it, but yep, that's mine. Go ahead.
Okay, I also had a tie for number 5 since I kind of chickened out and couldn't pick one or the other. So one of them is Justified, which was on FX, and it was set in Kentucky, which, you know, was awesome. Harlan
County.
I
remember that, yeah.
And Boyd Crowder, which was played by Walton Goggins, one of the best characters ever on television. And, of course, USA used to have the slogan, "Characters Welcome."
Yes.
So that's what I always remembered. And I always thought Justified just had the best characters, and it was in
I like
Kentucky.
that name. What's that name? Say it again.
Justified.
Yeah, but no, the name of the character.
Boyd Crowder.
There you go. Like that. Okay.
And it's about U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens, and they did a lot of things. Actually, they filmed it in California. They did some exterior shots, you know, from Harlan and that area, but especially early on, they'd always have some Kentucky references, and there would always be like some Kentucky basketball, or somebody mentioned Louisville or whatever, and
that's pretty neat.
It was just fun to watch.
Yeah.
And my other one, speaking of USA and Characters Welcome, is Monk. Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah.
I love that show, man.
Yeah.
And both of those, I just couldn't wait to get home and watch them.
Monk was pretty goofy, that guy.
Yes.
He was goofy, wasn't he?
Yes.
I love it.
And Justified was always on Tuesday night, so I would record it. You know, I'd be at the office until midnight, so I'd go home and I usually watch Justified about 1 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday because I just couldn't wait until the next day to see it. And
awesome.
Season 2 of Justified is like the best TV ever. If I don't know if it's on Netflix or not, but if anybody that has any streaming service
I'm going to have to check it out.
that it's on, watch season 1, which is a short season, and then season 2 is like 10 episodes, but season 2 is the greatest. I mean, it's just...
That's cool.
The whole show is fantastic, but season 2 was the best.
Pretty good. I like the list so far. Number 4, I'm going with Dallas.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, I mean, growing up in the 70s and, you know, J.R. Ewing, you know, the oil, Charlene Tilton. I mean, what's not to like?
Oh yeah.
And Victoria Principal. I mean, come on. I was about the girls on Dallas. And J.R.
And then you had the whole setup about who shot J.R. that we all argued about for, you know, the whole off season. And then it was all a dream, right? It was just a big dream.
I couldn't figure it out. I think they were drinking too much vodka on there.
Yeah, I think they changed writers during the season, and the new writers didn't like the direction the old writers had gone, so they just made it all a big dream sequence.
But it was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge show.
Yeah.
And I was a Cowboys fan back then, you know, and I love when they'd show, you know, in the
they'd go over the stadium.
Go right to this old stadium at Irving. So, yep, Dallas is mine. For number 4.
Okay, my number 4 is The Walking Dead.
There you go. Zombies.
And again, I think it was a little better earlier on, but I think it's still the number 1 cable show.
I just can't believe it's still going. I mean, how in the world do you just goes on and on. But I guess when you're shooting dead people, it just goes on and on.
Well, I don't think the zombies have the same punch they had early on.
Right.
That's kind of dragging the show down a little bit. They need to come up with some kind of... you know, what am I thinking? Some kind of
I don't know.
Some type of gimmick, you know,
I've gone through there, and it just doesn't hold my attention. I don't know why. I'm not a zombie person.
Go back and watch it from the beginning.
Yeah.
If you watch it from the beginning, because I jumped in about midway through the second season, and I was lost a little bit.
Yeah.
But when I went back and rewatched, yes.
You had that aha moment. I get it.
So you almost have to watch it from the beginning to get where everybody is.
A lot of fans out there. I mean, it's tremendously popular.
Oh,
I mean,
like I said, I think it's still the #1 show.
Yeah. I mean, I actually went through the other night and kind of watched a little bit of it, and just seems like they're just always people. They're just walking down the street and stuff's after them.
I think I would find an island someplace.
Yeah, there's a way to. You think you could get away?
Yeah.
I don't know. Good choice though, because it's popular. My number 3. This was a little quirky show back in the '90s called Northern Exposure.
Yes.
And that was one that every Monday night, I think it was Monday night. Yeah, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Monday night? I think it was. I was just going to be there to watch it. I mean, that's one of those that I just made sure I made a point to watch it. The characters were cool. The stories were out there. The writing was terrific, I felt like, and the characters kind of made it all kind of believable. So, but that's my number 3.
Okay, my number 3, and I think my list is going to get a little predictable here at some point, but number
Surely
3 is The X-Files.
I figured you had that one on your list, and that's what a great show that was.
Oh, absolutely, and they've.
I actually saw a few episodes.
Actually
they resurrected that.
Yes, came back and did some episodes. I think did 6 episodes last season and a 10-episode run this year, and had just a couple of excellent episodes earlier this year, and
they were good. So you were glad it was back.
Yes. Last year, I think I was just more happy to see the characters again. It's like, yes, it's super. There's more X-Files.
They've
but
aged well.
The shows were just kind of. One was really good, but most of them was just okay. This season kind of started out that way, but the last 3 or 4 weeks have been really good. So I mean, it's good to see that they can come back, revisit a show 10 or 15 years later, and still do quality work with it.
Have they found any aliens? Have they proved that there's alien life out there?
It's difficult to tell sometimes, but I don't think there are any definitive answers. I think that's the beauty of the show.
It is.
We never really give you anything concrete.
No, they're touching
it's just
on
we're
something.
leaving everything open.
Yeah, and it's food for thought. I love it. Good choice. My number 2 is the classic Hawaii Five-O.
Oh, wow.
I was a big Steve McGarrett fan. Loved the show. Loved everything about it. Loved the setting. But I mean, I think Jack Lord was just cool, man. I like love the hairdo. Loved it.
So you went just a little more retro than I did.
I did, but that's about the last time I
that's
really
cool,
seriously
though.
watched TV, though. I mean, that's the truth.
Well, I don't have anything. Well, The Walking Dead and I guess The X-Files, but I don't really have any current shows.
I cheesed out on my number 1, but I mean, trust me, I think it's up there for a lot of people.
But I mean, I think you have to be true to yourself when you do these lists.
That's what I did, yeah.
So my number 2 is Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay. Now, is that with Picard?
Yes.
That's okay, yeah.
Again, characters and kind of resurrected the whole Star Trek franchise.
It really did,
yeah.
because it was about, the old crew had kind of made most of their movies and fallen by the wayside, and then here comes,
And it's kind of a testament to just how many Star Trek fans there are, because if you go back and watch the first season or 2 of The Next Generation, those shows really aren't that great.
Mm-hmm.
About season 3, it really took off, and from then on, the rest of the run was really strong. But I think everybody just wanted new Star Trek so bad that, they stuck it out and weathered those early shows and kind of let the series find itself, and it became really good toward the end.
And it truly was The Next Generation.
Yes. I think, as a matter of fact, more people are probably familiar with The Next Generation characters and cast and
probably
story
now
than the original series.
Yeah, probably now, unless you were a certain age and from that era. Yeah. Good choice, and I figured we'll maybe hear more about that. I don't know. Okay. People are going to laugh at me, but
Number 1.
The Waltons.
Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I don't know. It just.
I think we all grew up watching the Waltons.
It was cool to just kind of see what was up with all those kids. I remember watching the pilot when I was a little kid. The Christmas one, and then, of course you didn't have the same granddad. You had Patricia O'Neill was the mother. You didn't have Ralph Waite as the dad. You didn't have Will Geer as the grandfather. It was actually Edgar Bergen.
Oh, wow.
Was the granddad. I don't know if you ever seen that.
I didn't remember that.
The kids were the same.
Yeah.
And, of course, Ellen Corby, the grandmother, she was in that pilot. Patricia Neal was Olivia. But, I mean, what a great show. Just, family values, family stories, situations, and even when they talked about the recipe, it was okay. So, anyway, that's it.
So we can now say good night, John Boy, to your list.
Yeah, that's right. Good night, John Boy.
Okay, my number one, and as anticlimactic as can be, Star Trek.
Of course.
It had to be.
Sure it did. But that's
Can't even
awesome.
say anything else. It's just, that's the number one.
You're true to your roots. You stay true to yourself, and who does not love, those characters, those stories, and you look back even on the special effects, cheesy, but yet
and it wasn't about even space or special
No,
effects
it wasn't.
or science fiction.
It wasn't.
It was about the stories.
Yes.
It was about a better mankind in the future that we could all look forward to.
Exactly. I even love the Tribble episode.
Oh, yeah.
I love Tribbles. I always wanted a Tribble. Isn't that what they're called?
Yeah.
The little furry things, the Tribbles? Yeah.
But they reproduced, so...
They did. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me, it's kind of like when Gremlins came out, that movie. It sort of was a takeoff on the Tribbles, I think. You get them wet, and boom, you'd have other little gremlins. But yeah, I think Todd, I think it's a great choice. And those characters, Leonard Nimoy... why can't I think of Captain Kirk's real name?
Oh, William Shatner.
William Shatner,
DeForest
Kelly, Scotty,
Jimmy
Doohan.
Doohan.
Yeah, Sulu. Takai, is that his name? Yeah,
George Takai.
So
Nichelle Nichols.
Yeah. Oh, man, just
Walter Koenig.
Yes. And I remember checking out Uhura over there. She, loved just having them all up there on the deck.
Well, it was groundbreaking, and like I said, when you go back and look at it now, it does look cheesy, but it's about the stories. It's not about the tech. It's about the stories.
It is. So, excellent choice. I'm telling you, I think it's great.
And if anybody likes Star Trek, the original series, they should check out Star Trek Continues online at StarTrekContinues.com, and it's like a fan thing where they went back and did 11 episodes, I think, to finish the original series and get you to Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Wow.
And yes, the budgets were small, and sometimes the acting's not, the best ever, but they really painstakingly recreated the Enterprise and the way those sets were lit and the way everything looked. They look just like the original series. Now, it takes a little while to get used to different people playing those characters, but as far as the stories go, it was really good when you think that, they raised money on one of those Kickstarter campaigns and then were able to just, for basically nothing, go out and do 10 or 11 episodes that look as good as the original series did.
I'll tell you what, you never doubt a Trekkie.
We know everything.
A Trekkie. There's no doubt about it. Good list, Todd. And if you got any comments, again, text us at 963-9038. The texting line is awfully quiet today.
Maybe they didn't like our TV shows.
Maybe they didn't, but we're getting no action today.
But you had some great stuff from the 70s and 80s, and of course I had all my science fiction stuff. So
I think they're good lists, and we if you want to chime in there and talk about one of your favorite shows, and again, these aren't sitcoms; these are more like your hour-long dramas or cop shows or whatever.
I had a couple of others. Game of Thrones almost made my list.
Oh yeah, for anybody that's especially lately, this sounds bad, but again, I do not watch TV very much. I've heard all this stuff about Game of Thrones, how great it is. You need to get on there and check out Game of Thrones. I hear it's fantastic. I
think my dream job would just be the location scout for Game of Thrones, because when you watch
never know
the
where
show,
you're going to go, right?
They're all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's like each episode is a motion picture or something. They're spending millions of dollars per episode, and it just looks fantastic.
That's cool. And you can see that on Netflix, right? Is that what you get that? Is that
I'm not
Netflix
sure.
deal?
It's on HBO, and
it's an HBO deal.
It's probably on some streaming service. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah, streaming services still confuse me. I use a few of those because I do watch some things, and But it's amazing now. You don't have to necessarily have cable. You just got to have an internet connection, and boom.
You can watch anything.
You can watch TV. Yeah.
If you like Star Trek, it's on everything. I think it's on Netflix, CBS All Access.
It's on Tubi.
Amazon.
Yeah, it's on the Amazon thing.
I think it's on just about everything, and it's every series. It's the original series and the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, Voyager.
Wow.
I mean, you can literally watch Star Trek for a month, and never sleep.
Yeah. Get your bag of Cheetos and your frozen pizza and kick back.
But there's so many episodes. I mean,
I love it, man. That's just so cool. Where are we going sports-wise now? We got some more stuff to talk about. We've got baseball and softball right around the corner.
Well, if the weather holds, there's a baseball home scrimmage on Saturday.
Yeah.
McLean County will be here. The schedule's changed a time or two,
Yes.
but the date's the same. It's Saturday, I think, at noon at the VFW
VFW.
ballpark. The last time I checked, the weather actually looks good
I think
for Saturday
so.
right now.
Just cloudy, maybe a little windy and cool.
Maybe a little cool,
Yeah.
but hey, we're in March, so the weather's going to be all over the place anyway.
It'll be nice to hear the sound of the crack of a bat. I think.
Absolutely,
And the snap
to be
of
at
a
the
glove.
ballpark.
Yeah.
We took baseball pictures Tuesday afternoon.
Will that be coming out? You said that's the next
That'll
week's
be
edition.
the 17th.
17th. Okay.
Saturday the 17th will be the Caldwell County baseball and softball special section.
Awesome. So get ready for your Times leader, Caldwell County, and you're going to do Lyon County as well, aren't you?
Yes, and it's probably going to end up running around the 21st.
Okay.
So we'll have all the baseball and softball previews in the paper, and again, this time of year you have to be a little flexible.
Sure.
But we have the baseball pictures taken. Supposed to take softball pictures Friday, so that'll give us plenty of time to get the section done for next Saturday. And then the regular season begins Monday the 19th for softball and Tuesday the 20th for baseball, and both of those are home.
Right.
So there's some good home games early in the season to, if the weather cooperates. And also the Caldwell County tennis teams have home matches Monday and Tuesday, the 12th and the 13th.
Wow, that's right.
So the season's right on top of us, and again, it looks like weather is going to be pretty good, at least right now, if you look at the forecast, for Monday and Tuesday to get those matches in. So,
yeah, I mean that's it's here, man.
Hopefully the weather cooperates more this year, because it seemed like last season, every time I planned to go to a tennis match, it rained about 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the match either got canceled or got moved.
Yep.
So it didn't do me any favors, but hopefully I'm counting on a good weather spring this time.
Every time I went to watch a tennis match, it was cloudy and windy. I mean, that we got here, it was. It just. And it's tough, in spring sports, especially in the beginning, because, we're going through these weather changes, and they're not always pretty in West Kentucky.
And you have to take a lot of clothes with you whenever you go to a game.
Layer up.
Because, the weather can be fantastic at 1 o'clock. It can be sunny and 65 degrees. By the time you get to the ballpark for baseball, softball, or go out to watch tennis, it can be cloudy, cold wind blowing, and 42 degrees. So
that's exactly right.
I mean, that actually happened to us when we took baseball pictures on Tuesday. The reason I picked Tuesday was because the weather was supposed to be good. It was supposed to be sunny, kind of warm. Like, you don't want to be out there freezing when you take pictures, You don't want any of the kids standing around freezing while they're waiting for their picture to be taken. But, while it was great earlier in the day, by the time 4 o'clock rolled around and we got everybody to the ballpark and tried to line them up, the wind was blowing 50 miles an hour. It was coming straight off an iceberg. The temperature had dropped.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of cold. It wasn't as comfortable as we had thought. So you can never trust the weather this time of year.
No, you can't, and that's good advice. When you plan on heading out to see some of these spring sports, start in layers, and you can always take.
Hey, you can start the day in a T-shirt and a pair of shorts,
and then
but you might need Arctic weather gear for later on.
You're exactly right. So
that's Kentucky.
That is Kentucky. But boy, we're excited. Spring sports just around the corner here, and gearing up for that. So what else, my man?
Well, just back to basketball. Can't wait for selection Sunday, and it's on TBS this year instead of CBS. So tune in to TBS at 5 o'clock Sunday for the 68 teams that are going to play in the NCAA tournament.
Now, does TBS have rights to the games as well with
TBS has the Final Four this year.
Okay.
So any year they have the Final Four, they're now trading with CBS alternate years. So any year that TBS has the Final Four,
CBS has the first round games.
Well, and TBS has the rights to the selection show.
To the selection show. So will we see the first round games on CBS? Or are they going to be on TBS too? How does that work?
First round games will be on CBS. They'll be on TBS. They'll be on TNT. And they'll be on True TV.
Yeah, so they've done that the past several years.
Yeah, this is the time of year where everybody has to check their channel guide to find out where True TV is, because because I think the only time it really gets much viewing is when it hosts those NCAA tournament games. And we mentioned the first four earlier, those Tuesday and Wednesday games in Dayton, to get the 68 teams in.
Yeah.
Those games are all on True TV.
Those are all on True TV. So, yeah. Watch your guide. It is a little tricky sometimes, but
the great thing is, though, you can watch whatever game you want to watch in its entirety. Back in the day when it was all on CBS,
they'd switch.
Yeah, you'd be watching your team, and they would
let's
switch
go now to
another game, and you're like, no, I want to watch my team. I don't.
Yeah, let's go to Greensboro. Or
yeah.
Let's go, yeah. Do you have any selection show Sunday traditions?
No, it's just
you're there.
Watch it and pray that your teams get a good draw.
I had several years I would always park out at a room at Poly Eyes, even the old one.
Oh.
Of course, they didn't have a room out there, but you just kind of sit out there. They had a TV going. I think they had a room out there maybe. So it seemed like every year I was always there. I'd order a house special and just check it out.
Yeah.
So I might try that again
this year.
That
sounds like a good idea.
That's a good idea. I'm always up for a pizza.
And we mentioned Eli Pepper and Lipscomb going to be in the NCAA tournament. There will actually be a Colwell-Countian taking part in another college basketball championship. Ford Branch Jr. will be officiating the NAIA National Tournament in Kansas City next week.
Okay, cool.
So there's another Princeton connection.
There's another Princeton. So NAIA championship. So
in Kansas City.
Fort Wayne is going to be out there in the stripes.
Yes.
Cool. Well, good.
And I think he did a game in the OVC tournament last week. I know he's called several conference tournament games, and he's got several conferences that he calls during the season. And I can't remember which OVC game he had, but it wasn't a Murray State game, but he definitely had one of those games up in Evansville in the OVC tournament.
Good deal. Do want to mention as well, we have our Special Olympic basketball team going to the state championship this Saturday.
March Magic,
that's right. And they include manager Isla Leslie and players Katie Beth Purcell, Emily Melton, Caitlin Wazalewski, Mikey and Devin Sizemore, Lincoln Hawkins, Jason Williams, Weston Lemon, and Joey Hobby. And they drew Kenton County, which I hear is a pretty tough draw for them, but you never know.
Hey, good luck.
Yeah, good luck to our Caldwell County Special Olympics team.
And I like the March Magic.
I do too.
I hope somebody trademarked that.
I know that's a pretty good stuff. So, best of luck to our Special Olympians as they play in the state tournament. That's good stuff.
So, getting ready for basketball, about an hour away from Louisville playing.
Yep.
Again, Western plays tonight, UK tomorrow. Lipscomb's already in, Murray State's already in. Really fired up for the NCAA tournament. About halfway through the season, when you watch Kentucky, and I'm a big Kentucky fan, and that was kind of dragging me down a little bit, and didn't know if Murray State would make it, didn't know if Lipscomb would make it, but things are looking up.
Yeah, things are looking up. And spring, I think, is right around the corner. We had snowflakes overnight, so
there was snow on the ground this morning.
I know, and on people's decks, I kept seeing Facebook posts of people had snow on their deck. Here's a question for you. Here's a text. We finally have some action.
All right.
Wasn't Yvonne Craig on one Star Trek show?
I think so.
That's a question for Todd. There we go. Wasn't Yvonne Craig? I don't know who this person is. They haven't identified themselves. Hey, text us back and identify yourself if you don't care. I promise we won't send you any unsolicited text messages back. But wasn't Yvonne Craig on one Star Trek show? So that's not a question for me. We'll have to give that one to Todd.
Oh, man, that's a deep one. That's a really good one.
It is a good one.
Because one of the greatest things about watching any of those old shows,
you never know who's going to show up.
Is looking at the characters, and sometimes those people actually went on to great careers, but they were unknowns when they
appeared on the show. Yeah, that's really good stuff. I don't know, but you think Yvonne Craig was on one Star Trek show?
I think so. I don't remember which one, though.
I have to admit something.
What's that?
Who's Yvonne Craig? I don't think I know. Oh, it's Ralph Sharp. He's texting us. We don't know, Ralph. Thanks for identifying yourself.
Man, this is one of those times you have to go to the internet and look it up.
You stumped Todd, yeah.
Yeah.
Google it, Ralph. And but you stumped Todd, so I'm pretty impressed with that question. So check it out.
That was a good one.
Check it out, Ralph. All right. Well, listen, it's 10:03, and the hour's flown by.
Thanks to Eli for calling us up from Nashville, and that was great. Hope we didn't take him out of class to do so, but
I don't. I think he said he had class, but I think he says that I think everybody down at Lipscomb University is still on cloud nine. That he could maybe excuse himself for a few minutes to be on the radio with his professors. So we certainly appreciate him taking the time to do that.
But I think we hit about everything today we were going to talk about, and just good luck to all our teams, and can't wait for that draw now. The Selection Sunday holds a lot of meaning, and
it does.
Good luck to Western. Good luck to Louisville.
Yep. Good luck for all our Kentucky teams.
Want to see all those teams.
And our Tennessee team.
Yeah.
That's
like
now
I said,
a Kentucky team.
Lipscomb has been adopted by Kentucky. It's a Kentucky team for the NCAA tournament.
No doubt about it. Todd, my thanks to you. We'll be back next week with
thank
another
you.
show. And certainly want you to pick up your edition of the Times Leader, both on Wednesday and this Saturday edition coming up. And don't forget, we've got our baseball, softball previews for Caldwell County coming up. Todd's shooting for the 17th on that. And then for Lyon County about the 21st.
And if anyone has a top 5 idea, be sure and shoot it our way, because sometimes it's difficult to come up with a top 5. So
it is, and of course you can follow Todd's Twitter feed. He usually has some interesting sports stuff on there, and I just retweet them on the WPKY page or repost them on the WPKY page. But hey, it's fun to work together. Todd and I go way back, and we're having a good time doing this show. If you have any ideas, suggestions, comments, we'd love your input. We'd love for you to communicate with us, and you can, again, see us out, give us a call, or text us. Just get in touch with us one way, shape, or form. We'd love to have your input, and
And I will have the schedules for Caldwell County tennis and Caldwell County baseball and Caldwell County softball coming up in Saturday's paper.
Okay.
If you want to grab one of those.
All right. Sounds good. All right. We're 5 minutes after the hour. Thanks to Todd. And we hope that you will tune in to us next week at 9:03. It's the Sideline Report, brought to you by the Times Leader, Todd Griffin in studio on Thursday. And we're having a good time. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ty Englebright. Have a wonderful Thursday, everybody.
From the WPKY Weather Center, here's a look at the latest local forecast on 103.3 FM, The Tiger.
Here is your weather forecast for today. Flurries early, cloudy, and then becoming mostly sunny. A high near 40, gusty winds as high as 21 miles per hour. Mostly clear tonight, low down to 28, and then a 30% chance of rain moving in Friday. Mostly cloudy, a high 50. Those